if anybody wants to apply for a cameraman's position in Lone Wolf Custom Painting, please submit your resumes, because I'm going to kill mine. Starts off, he's picking on my dog this morning, said he was dumb. It's terrible. Come on, really? You know, I'll tell you what, it took me 2 weeks to housebreak him. It took us 2 years to housebreak you. Which one's the dummy? Which one's the dummy, Jake? Mothy brat. Alright, fat boy. Get out of the way. Good morning. What we're going to do today, being that I have projects to do and no choice but to do them, this is going to be part of our gravity paint segment, and I have to prep the body. Watch me do this. This is something that is necessary. A while back we were talking about you know, the stages of prep that individuals take it up to. I find it vastly amusing. Would that be a good term, Jake? Where an individual says, "Oh, you know, you only have to take it up to 600." Well, tell you what. As I said, you know, there's going to be busting segments too, and that's going to be one of them, because what I'm going to do, this one eventually, as all of them do, they make their way up to 12,000, and I'm going to take one up to 600, and we're going to shoot it, and you're going to see the difference. Always remember, smoother the surface to be painted, the smoother the paint finish is going to be. I apologize. One of the guys posted up on the YouTube channel yesterday, after I had put up the rules and regulations of the channel, put a battery in that damn smoke alarm. Well, sorry kids, it's not the smoke alarm. It's the dog fence. We have a break in it, and that's how it lets you know that the situation exists. So for that, I apologize. I unplugged it. No more beeping. Now you get to listen to my melodious voice. Okay, now for this. What we have here is the 1966 Revell Ford Mustang. Very nice kit. What are you doing? Oh, you're coming closer. Did you miss me, Jakey? Anyways, quit it, Jake. Very, very nice kit. It lends itself to a very nice build. I don't know, I built 5 or 6 of these, probably did 10, 15, 20 bodies for slot cars and whatnot. Now, every time that we do a kit, every time I do a body, I'm going to take you over the little pitfalls to give you some idea as to where you're going to have to do a little bit of extra work, and this way you avoid making the same mistakes that I made years ago. First off, for all intents and purposes, this is a very, very well molded body. I've noticed in some of the later reissues of it, you're going to get little sinks here. There's a little sinkhole here. Occasionally you'll catch one back here or back here. Overall, though, I mean, it's, you know, it's smooth. There aren't that many that you really have to worry about, especially, like I said, for an older casting. Now, what I've done so far, I removed the sinks. There's a little bit here and a little bit there. Now you can see where I've sanded, but I've still got that shiny area right there, so I have to make that go away. You know, a little bit of 220, just working it real gentle in here. I have scribed in the door panels and the trunk lines. Once we get this wet sanded, I'll lightly take this back through to remove the debris, and then we'll wash it off, scrub it up with a toothbrush, and get it ready to get some of that gravity paint on it. And, okay, here we go. I know this appears to be tedious to some of you, but this is what you have to do, because if you don't and you put paint on it, let's put it this way. If you put this into paint in the condition that it's in, any sinkhole, divot, however you want to refer to it, is going to it's going to be magnified 100 times over. Now also what I did is around the headlights, the front body panel, and the rear panel, you need to deepen these too. And like I said, you don't have to gouge, you don't have to dig in really deep. You just have to just lightly trace it, and let the blade do the work. Yeah, you might have to make, 15 or 20 light passes, but it brings these out. Another thing too, and I almost forgot, on this rear panel here, you're going to have indentations. I don't know, Jake, can you see those?
The little holes?
No, in between the holes.
Give me a sec.
There's like a little bit of a sink mark. Now we're going to have to level that. If you don't, like I said, you're really going to see, especially this one. But hey, it's all part of the game, and you simply have to remove it. So what I'm doing here with the 220, I'm just leveling these, making them go bye-byes. That's the nice thing about this when you're doing it. Case in point. And we'll go over a couple different bodies, pitfall-wise, where little lines and everything are. This is the Revell's new Camaro release. A lot of people miss it. There is a little flat spot right in here. It's a little tiny sink mark, and you gotta sand it flat. Another thing I'll show you too. A while back I was talking about how with the advent of this new plastic, how if you would shoot this, and I figured out a way of actually for you to see it. If I would shoot this with metallizer, you would look down the side, you'd see little waves. That all has to be smoothed. But I was putzing with a Willys body the other day for another customer build, and I figured out a way to do it, because when I shot it with the metallizer and I lightly started sanding, you can actually see where it's raised. You can see the portions where you're going to have to sand it. This kit is pretty much clean. I mean, there's very little other than an overall wet sanding that has to be done, which you normally what you should do. Aside from this, there's a tiny little line that goes, a mold line here and a mold line here. There's a little bit of a raise here on the high points, which is typical of a casting, but overall, this thing should not take all that long to prep. You really don't have to worry. You don't have a whole lot that's got to be dealt with. Now, back to the regularly scheduled program. I was talking to Johnny Snyder on the phone last night, and naturally he had his cheerleading uniform on, and he started the conversation off with, I can't repeat it. He was very rude to his adoptive father, Jake. Very rude.
No.
Can you imagine that? One of my children being rude. He called me names, bad swear word names. Because he said, what did you shoot today? And I told him, and he said, well, how'd it go? I said, it went good. You got beat up again. That set it off. But it's nice to hear from him, naturally. He's a great guy. He's a very good modeler. cool part of it is he adopted my philosophy a long time ago, along with some other guys. Pushing the envelope. He's always eager and willing to learn. And I love watching the transformation. I like seeing what he built years ago as compared to where he is now, and that's a natural progression for any of us that are, you want to improve. You constantly want to roll with it. But yeah, he was rather rude last night, as my daughters used to say. When you're doing this, you can check, just wipe it off. I usually keep a dry cloth here for this purpose. You can see this. See, this is the tough part, and I think when I'm doing these, what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to shoot them with the metallizer.
You're trying to...
Especially when Jake, it's so faint I can barely see it, which means that I got it all. But what I'm trying to explain here is with the metallizer, if I shoot it, you'll be able to see these spots much clearer because they'll show up like a shiny white, and you'll know that they're there. You're going to learn, and I was talking about this a couple weeks ago. The cool part about modeling is if you screw up or something else like that, you can always build another one. You build 3 or 4 in one car in various directions, and you learn the kit. As for the one-to-one, unless you're a multi-millionaire or a multi-billionaire, not so lucky. Another cool part about starting this channel, I'm reconnecting with a lot of my earlier customers. Bought the DVDs and sung the praises, and they would ask a few questions and then they disappeared back into the veil of life. But to see familiar names and to see familiar faces and to get texts on the phone and emails and whatnot, it's really cool. As much as I love, because the hobby itself, building, I think the coolest part that comes out of this is the relationship that you develop with people. I mean, Virgil and I are about as close as 2 coats of paint. I mean, we've never seen each other in person. I never shook his hand, hugged him. I mean, he's my brother, and that's every way, shape, or form. Johnny, the aforementioned brat that I adopted. Oh, look at this. Smoothie. God, the cameraman gets all the perks. And she's laughing as she goes away. This is a bunch of BS. It really is. I'm doing all the work, and you get all the benefits. Get that thing away from me. God. Anyways, Johnny, for example. I might see Johnny maybe once or twice a year. I talk to him on the phone, we email, text back and forth, questions about model, or hey, did you hear this kid's coming out? I mean, the relationship, it's cool as hell. The fact that you might get to meet them sometime in person, that's icing on the birthday cake. And that's why I get upset when, I see guys going after each other. I mean, at the end of the day, come on, kids. It's all about the plastic. That's it. There's it shouldn't be about whose lower appendage is larger. But I guess that goes all the way across the board in life. Doesn't matter what you do. I see it on the softball field too. Which is another thing. We're putting segments away backwards, forwards, and sideways to try to get out ahead of this game. Because, for that reason, when softball season comes, the old man's going to be running around on softball fields. And I don't know if we're going to do what Doc does, where he shuts down for a couple months. We'll have to see. The maroon behind the camera right here, He's the mighty duck hunter. So come fall, and he plays softball with me also. So spring, summer, and fall are a little bit hectic. You might have to pass up a duck hunting trip for a weekend. He says, I don't care.
As long as they ain't flying.
What's that? Now, as long as they aren't flying. Anytime you're in the swamp in the blind, they ain't flying.
Oh, no, they fly just fine.
Duckies, yeah.
Yeah,
3 miles
exactly.
away from you.
Yeah.
You can't, well, I can always buy you a howitzer for Christmas. Oh, God. I'll tell you what, kid, that's, love to hunt and everything else like that. I do not miss it. I do not miss sitting in a swamp with ice water up to my you-know-whats and waiting for some stupid-ass bird to go because usually they're like just out of range and they're going, feather you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my. All right, we're almost to the point where we can really take off here. I cannot. I don't know what the word would be. I can't emphasize enough of how important this is. And like I said, the myth busting stuff. We got to prove it. We got to prove it. Every single body should be prepared this way. And it's like right now, I know some of you guys are going, oh my God, it's like watching paint dry. No, it's not. Well, it is, but then again, it isn't. You get to listen to my melodious voice ramble on. What are you gagging for? Oh, I'm almost made Jake spit his little strawberry smoothie all over his shirt. Don't spit it on the work table, jerk. Ah, that's nice. That's nice. Every single inch of this. And another thing that on this particular one, this is a secret. What is it? Double secret probation project. Nobody's supposed to know about this. And my pit bull's barking outside. Why? Oh, now all the pit bulls. And that's another thing I want to apologize for, but as I indicated when we first come out of the shoot with this, this is a home. There are 4 pit bull rescues in it. They do get a little bit rambunctious sometimes when we're down here shooting the videos. They'll be upstairs romping around, but I wouldn't have it any other way. And while I apologize for sometimes the noise, they're well worth it to me. Now what I also did with this, I also opened up the wheel wells because the person that is not to be mentioned who is going to end up with this particular car, I wanted to make sure that that individual had enough room to put whatever set of wheels and tires under it that they liked. Very simple process of how to do. Actually, a segment that's coming up, I'm going to be doing a 66 Nova project along the same lines, double secret probation project. And we're gonna work a little bit on radiusing wheel wells, both the easiest manner and then again using the Dremel. Jake's favorite tool, the dentist chair. Ugh. Now, I was going through some of my older kits. It got to the point where you thought that they were actually having relations, for lack of a better term, because there were so many everywhere. And I consolidated. I sat down for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and I was taking all the Camaro kits and all the Mustang kits and the 32 Fords, etc., etc. And I'd simply cut all the parts off the trees and I threw them into the 2-gallon Ziploc freezer bags, and it freed up a lot of room. But I found one of these that was molded in red. I'm not really sure what release that was, but it actually had the hood without the scoop on it. And hey, like I say, you learn something every day. Well, today's lesson was they made a hood without the scoop on it.
Oh wait, that wasn't painted.
No, that was molded.
Oh, I was gonna say, what were you? Had a few too many captains when you painted that.
Hey, come on now.
Say a question.
What are you trying to say here? You got a lot of nerve. You sat on bar stools with me before. Now, how is it that I'm the one that drives home? You know, but I have maybe one or two, and then you're the one that falls off the bar stool, and I have to get you home. Do you think your father will ever watch this segment? You keep him out of the bars. Now, another thing with this too, it comes with. Did you spit your drink all over the? You better look. Do your job. I'm doing my job. Okay, hang on to the camera. You have the flags, the Mustang emblem here. You can take it off. Slicks and Keith Marks decals have emblem packages for this. And I much prefer that than what comes molded onto the kit. Alright, we have the 400 pretty much done. Like I said, I mean, you could sit there and watch TV, do this. Monotonous? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I never minded it. Usually, as I said in the past, I usually crank up the stereo. I sit down here. At one time, John Papple like this one, we had flat screen TV set up down here at football on or hockey or World Series, you know, whatever sporting event was going on. But those days are past. And, you know, you've heard me talk about this before, but, you know, if you do this and, you know, you get 4 or 5 or 6 kits prepped up, get them all painted at once, you've always got something to work on, especially when the weather's, you know, when Mother Nature's doing her dance, be it rain or snow or cold, or, for that matter, too much heat. Speaking of which, yeah, turn it down a little bit. We've got, it's about 41 degrees this morning.
Too late.
Is it out? Ran out of tank. The tank ran out. I knew that was going to happen. So we fired up the heater to in the paint booth to take the chill off the air. It's all ready to go. $26 coming out of your pocket. Yeah. So we'll be out there sooner or later. Better now than, you know, not being able to go. As I said, 41 degrees today. Take the chill off the booth and we'll be out there throwing paint. Another thing that's coming down the pike, we are going to do a spoon sample example of the gravity colors. Not only that, aside from, you know, painting several bodies, you get to watch me use it, but I want to give you some idea as to how wide this color spectrum is and what the colors look like. Now, that brings up another thing. A lot of guys, young guys, old guys, in between. They buy the first airbrush. How do I use this? You don't have old man's DVD? Shame on you. But anyways, guys say paint spoons. The spoons are cool when you're testing colors to see what they look like. The spoons are cool when you're testing different, which I don't encourage, different paint, like can I use this clear with this type of paint? Can I use this color or this brand of paint over this brand of primer? And mix and match, you got a 50-50. However, when you're shooting, you want to shoot a body. You know, you shoot a spoon, you're going eek, 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 eek. Well, it's a bad habit to pick up because you want long sweeps, and you're not going to be able to do a long sweep with a spoon. It's great for testing product and color, but other than that, forget it. I'm quite sure before it's all said and done, you're going to have a couple bodies laying around. And if you hammer a paint job and you're like, oh man, that just throw it in the stripper. You go out, you buy another kit. Throw that body in a stripper. Strip it. Use that as your practice body. Or if you want to test colors, brake fluid isn't all that expensive. Like I said, you can strip it off and use it again and again. Alright, except for a little bit of wet sanding on that Camaro with the upper grades, that one's going to be ready. This one will be ready shortly. And I don't know. You saw the colors. What do you think for that Camaro?
For the gravities?
Yeah, I'm thinking. You know what, Jake? I was thinking about that burgundy, that one we liked.
Yeah.
I think that would look gorgeous with a gloss black Stinger hood on it.
Okay.
Well, I mean the scoop.
Ooh.
What you got?
Oh no, you're good.
No.
The Mango Tango threw me off.
Mango.
Separated.
It's
It looks burgundy.
Yeah, well, that's what the paint shaker's for. Which reminds me, not a necessity. I went for years without it, but boy, does it make life easier. Especially if your paint's been sitting around, and that has happened to me on more than one occasion because I might get away from using a certain color for a while because I have so many bodies. I go back to it and, well, the paint's a little separated and whatever. Look at that. Ah, you know what, Jake? I like it. I'll tell you another thing this would look good on too is that 65 Plymouth. Oh my goodness, the choices. What to do?
Unless you want to go.
You know what I love about this, Jake?
These.
Nah, I'll tell you what. That one is a good color for Chrysler.
Yeah.
This one, that's petty blue. We do. Actually, I have one of those old Johan kits with the petty, which was the petty car. Okay, taking this all the way up to 1500. Got to wash it off. We'll catch up with the hood and actually the hood's done. The rear or the front valance and the rear valance take a little bit of doing what we did here. Now see, there's very little of anything on this except for a little flash, a couple passes with 320, and work my way up real quick, and they'll be ready. I'm gonna rinse this off. I'm gonna show you how to clean these out, and this will be ready for Mr. Mayer's. What's that blue? Ugh.
You put that in that blue.
Huh? Well, yeah, I think so.
Ford Deep Impact.
Now, I think this is metallic, but that's a beautiful blue. And then, who knows? We might have to do a little combo. Do this as a base, maybe a little Pearl X over top, maybe a little silver. I gotta make this one special, dude. This is one of a kind. This is gonna be that individual's color. They earned it.
You can say that individual. By the time this is up, they're gonna have it.
Yeah, well, okay, but no.
Okay.
Hey, who knows? You never know. How are we? I gotta rinse this off. Phone's blowing up this morning. We just put up the, which one was it? The Gravity. Yeah, we put up the Gravity colors, and some smart ass I know says, "Hey Hooper, keep up the good work and keep up the colors, Hooper." Yeah, the Burt Reynolds reference. Pain in the ass. Okay, kids. A little bit of quick with 3200. Like I said, just take your time, cover the whole thing. Don't rush this process. Learn to love this process, because if you do, the process will come back and love you. As I said, here we go again. I know, old man, I know. The smoother the surface to be painted, the smoother the paint finish. That's the truth. That's how it works. And there's other ones out in the Netherlands going, he's wrong. You just need 320 and give that paint something to grab onto. Just because you can't see a surface that's a little porous to grab the paint, 12,000 does. Somewhere down the line, you'll see a segment where you can actually watch me do the unthinkable. I took 12,000 and I sanded on a beautiful 68 Dodge Charger that was finished, just to prove the point that 12,000 does have an effect. Okay, the 32, now the 4. Now these are the micro mesh sanding cloths. You have your choice between the cloths and the pads. I don't like the pads. I just don't. I mean, it's a personal preference. There's guys that swear by them. I would much rather have these, simply because there's no material except these, and they're rubber backed. Okay, as long as you take care of them, they will take care of you. They will last you for a while. Now, one thing, these require a little bit of maintenance too. So every once in a while, take your pads, take a toothbrush, and a little bit of Dawn dish detergent, scrub them up, and set them on a baggie or whatever, and allow them to dry. That way you're keeping the debris and everything out of them, because nothing's worse than, say, you do a black car, you wet sand a black car, get it up to where you want, and then you're starting to color sand for a polish out on a white car, and you're leaving black streaks. Nah. He's bad. Very bad. Like I said, every single inch. On this one, we're going to do a tape off. We're going to shoot the engine compartment black. I can't emphasize how much there is to this hobby. And we're going to cover it all and have fun with it. Just as of late, the email's been blowing up. People asking questions. Hey, are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? Yep. It might take me a little while to get to it, but I figure we can cover between the work table to show table build, even with the weathered project. We'll be able to get there. All right, 4,000, 6,000. And we've got 8,000. And the troops are restless again. You hear this?
Vicious.
This is what we get to listen to. My fur kids are having fun. All rescues. All rescues. All four of them, and Yvonne, the boss, raises her voice. You hear that? Stop! All four of them, sad stories, but happy endings. It's a damn shame. They are much maligned as a breed. I love them. I adore them. They're around my grandkids all the time, and they're big enough sooks with us, and but you ought to see them with the kids. It's unreal. I love it. My grandson especially with Dalton. I don't know what it is, but those two have developed a bond that's unreal. My grandson hits the house, and Dalton wants to be with that baby, and he doesn't want to leave him. And he will climb up halfway if I'm holding him. He's sitting up in my lap, and as soon as Dalton sees him, he climbs up in my lap too, and you know, the baby's just petting him and rubbing it. It's cool as hell. Okay, kids, listen, we're out of time today. This is taking up to 12,000. Like I said, you're going to see projects bounce in and out. This is Double Secret Probation number 1. When you see this the next time, it will be in Duplicolor Primer Lacquer. How about that? Because that's the base that you need for the gravity paints. So Double Secret Probation 1, we're going to work on Double Secret Probation 2. In the next week or so, we're going to put that 57 stock car for a customer in Canada into the Wet Look Lacquer Clear. Prove another point that you can't do that. And also, we're going to put the multiple coats of different Pearl X colors. I'll show you, how to mix that. Well, we'll get around to showing you how to mix that up. I'll probably just come out of the shoot. It'll already be mixed. We'll shoot it over because that's a segment I want to cover thoroughly, so there's no confusion or boo-boos. This is the old man. Have a great week. God bless. Take care of yourselves. I'm out.